I'm still not sure how I really feel about House of the Dragon Episode 9, The Green Council. On one hand, it's an entertaining and engaging hour of TV. Then on the other, there are a few questionable moments that leave me scratching my head. Now, before I get into this review, I just want to mention again that when I write them, I purposely avoid Reddit, Twitter, and other YouTubers' reviews. I especially avoid the inside the episodes, so I can make sure I'm not being influenced by other people's videos and opinions. Then once I've done my first draft of the script, I will have a look at what others are saying. The cinematography and the sound during the opening 15 minutes or so is up there with some of the best, even when you compare it to the main show. It really set the atmosphere. You really get the feeling the weight of the world is on these characters' shoulders. I'm glad they dealt with Viserys' body quite quick, rather than leaving him there for 3 days like in the book. Doing that would not have made any of the characters look good at all. The Green Council scene was fine. I think it could have been a bit longer, with a bit more debate back and forth between, for example, Beesbury and the others. I was hoping that the version of Beesbury's death we got would have been Cole throwing him out of the window, but I was okay with the way it was handled, to be honest. However, the reaction after Kristen Cole kills him is a bit inconsistent, if you ask me. Once again, Cole has just killed someone. You have the Lord Commander telling him to remove his white cloak, only for everything then to be forgotten seconds later, with Harold Westerling being the one taking the cloak off and leaving. I don't know, it just seemed a bit inconsistent in tone to me. Alicent not being involved in all the scheming and being shocked by it is an interesting change. I guess they were trying to make her more moderate and the voice of reason. I know a lot of people don't like the more sympathetic Alicent, and to be honest, I don't really have any feelings on it, but I do think they need to be a bit more consistent with her character. 1 week she's shown being a bad person trying to stab Rhaenyra. Now she's supposed to be the moderate voice trying to protect her. I guess maybe she could have softened and had a change of heart after the dinner in the last episode. I do like the idea that Alicent and Otto are fighting over Aegon, with each having their own plans for him. It was a much needed addition to the show, in a sense that the Green Council in the books would have been too straightforward for an hour episode of TV. The scene with Alicent telling her children about the king's death was also great and very telling. Aemond and Helena did not seem very upset at all by it, which says a lot to me about their relationship with their father. This can be supported further by Aegon's comments later in the episode. I do like the episodes where we go into King's Landing and see it from a new point of view, and I liked seeing the more sinister side of it. I have to admit, I did find the whole hunt for Aegon a little bit dragging. However, we did get some great character moments, mostly establishing Aemond thinking he would be better suited to be king, that Aegon doesn't even want the crown. I really was not a fan of just how Kristen Cole and Aemond just happened to stumble across the Cargill twins and Otto meeting the White Worm, and then just followed them to Aegon. It just seemed very contrived to me. For me, despite the need to expand the story with the hunt for Aegon, it has robbed Kristen Cole of one of his most defining moments. While he does still crown Aegon later in the episode, we do lose his iconic Kingmaker moment, with Cole being the one to find, convince, and force Aegon back to the Red Keep to become king, invoking the threat that Rhaenyra would kill him, his siblings, and his children. In the books, they call Kristen Cole the Kingmaker. Within the show, at least, he didn't really make a king. But I suppose unreliable narrators and all, and I guess it did help flesh out Aemond and his relationship with Aegon a bit more. Now, I want to go into 2 key Alicent scenes here. The first hardly deserves a mention. I'd heard about the Larys Alicent defeat rumour for a few weeks now, and I'd hoped it wasn't true. But the leaker had been spot on about everything else so far, and what really convinced me is when he called Laena's death right, and Laenor also faking his death. All I'll say about this is it was not as graphic as I'd heard it would be, but was still very left field, and in my view, utterly unnecessary and damages any semblance of his character up to this point. Surely he has bigger motivations than just this. I guess it does show just how far Alicent is willing to go. Well, no. Just like Aegon's window scene, it was very much not needed at all, and there were much better ways to convey the information they needed than this. It seems they just wanted to shock people. However, the scene between Alicent and Rhaenys was a good scene, I think. I like seeing these two interact. We've hardly seen them together all season. My question to you guys is do you believe Alicent was being sincere in this scene or not? Specifically, when she commented that Rhaenys should have been queen. I partly believe it because I do think Viserys would have just been happier being a country lord, reading his histories and playing with his Legos. But I'm not sure if Alicent truly believes it or not. I loved Aegon's coronation to a point. There is a small scene with Alicent and Aegon on the way there, and it's great, and you really get a look into Aegon's mind that could explain some of the darker elements of his character. Growing up thinking both your parents hate you, it's going to do some damage. I love the tension in the Dragon Pit itself as Otto makes his speech and Aegon walks out. Now, in the books, the crown seemed to be split between those supporting Aegon and those supporting Rhaenyra, where in this case, I kind of got a pro-Aegon vibe here, despite a bit of trepidation at first. I was a little bit underwhelmed with the crown of Aegon the Conqueror. I was expecting a lot more rubies and the Valyrian steel to be a bit more obvious, I guess. I suppose I was just too used to the images from the official art book. I did like the look of Blackfire. It's very different to the other Valyrian steel swords we've seen so far. Oh, and the lack of Sunfire was a shame, but I guess they needed the dragon budget for melees and the Storm's End situation next week. Now, for the very bad stuff that, for me, really damaged the scene and the episode as a whole. When Rhaenys is in the dragon pit and sneaks off down the tunnel towards melees, I was scratching my head right away the moment it happened. Where are the guards? Guarding the entrance and the tunnels, and the dragons themselves. I know there's a huge event going on, but dragons like weapons of mass destruction. You don't just leave them publicly lying around with no guards. More so, during a big event. But okay, for sake of plot, I can get over this. But what I cannot get over is the whole busting through the floor thing. There are dozens of other ways to get out of the dragon pit, so it was utterly unneeded. I mean, just consider how many small folk Rhaenys killed in the process of this stunt. Don't get me wrong, it looked cool. But she killed loads of people at the same time, without even a second thought. And I've seen some shocking takes on Twitter and Reddit, really glorifying it, with people just turning a blind eye to blatant mass murder. Now, here's the thing though, I'm not mad about this scene for the reason most people are mad at this scene. I'm not mad at her for not killing the Greens. To me, if anything, it makes perfect sense in the context of the world, where kinslaying is one of the most heinous crimes imaginable for a noble person to commit. Look at Maegor the Cruel. Part of how he got his name was for killing two of his nephews. Think about the reputation that would have given Rhaenys, outright murdered half her family there and then. But I guess sure, let's just forget about the other hundreds of people you just killed. I would have done this all in a slightly different way. Either just have her escape normally, out of the back exit, with a bit of a fire show, similar to how Laena and Vhagar did it in Pentos. Or have Sunfire in the scene behind Aegon, so when she does bust through the floor, unless she wants to 1v1 a dragon in the confines of the dragon pit, she needs to get out of there sharpish. I'll do it as in the book, when Aegon mounts Sunfire and flies around the city, have Rhaenys escape out the back and make it look like she's going to attack Aegon before just flying past towards Blackwater Bay. Honestly, I could sit here all day coming up with better ways. For me, the lack of sheer logic in this scene is up there as some of the worst, most contrived stuff in the first season of House of the Dragon. I mean, don't get me wrong, I can only think of 3 other moments that I really disliked, but I just want to get across how much I dislike this scene. Not like season 8 levels of Game of Thrones bad, maybe more like season 5 and 6. Dumb as fuck, but still entertaining to watch, if you get what I mean. I have a theory that the coldness and the utter lack of acknowledgement of the deaths of all the small folk is going to be used later down the line to help justify and set up the Dragon Pit incident, which I reckon would probably be around season 3. So I think this could be one of the first of many events where they show the small folk are getting caught up in Dance of the Dragons and what could lead them to the point they do, which leads to the destruction of the Dragon Pit. Overall, it was still quite an entertaining episode of TV. I really had to pick out those 3 moments. I usually tend to be more positive than negative in my reviews, as I have done in the previous 8. I will mention the bad things, but I like to really focus on the positives. However, there were a couple of things this week that I felt like I had to talk about in more detail than I usually would. The Dragon Pit scene, for example. On the whole, it was an entertaining episode of TV, and if you do lose some of the weaker scenes, it'd be up there with an 8.5 out of 10. Very consistent with the rest of the season so far. But for me, the writing really let this one down a bit and drops my score to a 7. Anyway, the season final is next week, and knowing what should be going down, it's going to be a hell of an episode. If my voice sounds different in this video, it's because I've been horrendously ill for the last week with a cough and a sore throat. And I've lost my voice for a couple of days, and I've only just started to get it back. I didn't want to miss doing this video, so I've just kind of got through it. Anyway, I'm on the mend now, and hopefully it won't impact any other videos this week.